night already. Hope we're all doing extremely well this evening. Honestly, already internet dramas already tonight. Vodafone seems to be absolutely destroyed tonight. I don't know what it's going on tonight, but anyway, welcome to the show. It does look a bit funny tonight. I don't know what is going on. Genuinely don't know what's going on. It's all going a bit ping tonight. Here we go. Welcome to the United Devil channel with me, JB. Yeah, get into the chat, into this amazing community. Just get in there. This is one of the best channels on YouTube. We may not be the biggest, but we are the best. Got some amazing people in this chat. Look, get into this chat. Get involved with this channel. Get involved with this community. Even if you're not my biggest fan, go and get involved with this amazing community. I'm very, very fortunate to have you guys on here. Number one rule on here is be respectful to the chat. Be respectful to me, and be respectful to yourself. The other thing is I'm not a dictator of this chat. What I genuinely do is I do read out chats. There are super chats, there's all that stuff on here, but I genuinely do read out your chats. That's why these shows take so long, but I love it. I don't really care. Hopefully the stream is okay, because I'm struggling tonight on this bloody internet. So hopefully the stream is good. So look, guys, get into the chat. Scott's already in there. Scott says, yes, JB, yes. Aristage must be that bored to make a couple of accounts just to troll. I thought you were someone else. Look, get into the chat, guys. Tonight's show is always that sort of easygoing show. We're going to get into it. I mean, I'm surprised how much is coming out tonight. We've got Indicator apparently coming out at 10:30 with a big pile of tripe. In fact, I'm gonna have a little look now to see what Indicator is up to right now, because apparently they are releasing an exclusive. Don't know if somebody can tell me. It's Art Hostage. Sorry. I just read that really quickly. Sorry, Art Hostage. I do apologise. The screen is quite small. It's all gone wrong tonight, mate. Nicky T, I can't make my mind up. Semenyo would be a beneficial signing due to him mainly being a number 10. Look, this is all kicking off. This is all kicking off tonight because Semenyo in the January window has got a release clause of £65 million. Now look, we were going to it. So Mark Ogden, Rob Dawson, ESPN tonight, I think, talking a load of crap tonight, but they're saying that United, I'm not going to make any more. They're just not going to. So we'll go through that. Wilcox, again, saying that we're weighing up our options. Semenyo, again, £65 million. This has been out there. The interesting thing about Mark Ogden and Mr. Dawson is on the back of them saying that we're not going to sign any players, and we will get through that. On the basis of them saying that, Šeško's injured. So we've got updates on Šeško as well. Šeško looks like he's going to be out for another month, an additional month. What does that mean? So it almost puts pay to. We'll talk about that. But Semenyo first. Look, let's get onto that. Now, I am very keen, by the way. Promise you, I'm not being rude, but I'm interested in what Indicator has to say, because they do spout out a load of crap, but my internet is not working. So yeah, if somebody in the chat can just have a little pop on X just to see what Indicator is saying, not because I really care, It's more so because it'll be interesting to bring it into the chat. So look, Semenyo, where are we with that? So Semenyo has a 65 million release clause that is time sensitive. That comes into activation in the next transfer window. So the January window, Semenyo is available for 65 million pounds. Give me your opinion. So Nicky T has already been on there. Give me your opinions on this one. How would Semenyo be used? Now, Semenyo is I think he's more of a winger type. He is number 10, a winger type. I wonder. I think Amorim would use him as a wing back. What would my only problem with the Semenyo thing right now is if we're gonna bring him in, is he gonna come in as a left wing back? Is he gonna play that position? If not, and we sign him as a number 10. My thing here, and you give me your opinions on this one. Would you sign Semenyo? Right? What would you do with this player? He, again, a number 10. I think his best position is that number 10 role. What are we gonna do? My opinion is potential left wing back, but I don't know if that's the right thing to do with him. If he is a number 10, that's another number 10. Then for me, does that put paid to a Xerxes? Does it put paid to a Manu? The question for me here now is, would you sacrifice a Manu? What does this mean for Mason Mount? We do need another number 10 in terms of the fact that the African Cup of Nations is going to start. We are going to lose one of our most important players. So for me, the conundrum is really, if we're prepared to pay £65 million for Semenyo, is this too much of a good opportunity to turn down? What do we do? I think there are some players that miss my chat. Okay, sorry, mate. Let me go back. My chat for whatever reason is a bit slow, as you can see from the stream. I think the stream is a bit crap tonight, basically because my internet's down tonight and it's not great. So we'll see how long that we can persevere on tonight. So I apologise if I've missed your chat, Scott. It's not done on purpose. Scott says sell bench start Sancho, Di Maria, Sancho, Sanchez, Di Maria, or Sancho. I would sell Di Maria. Would I sell Di Maria? No, I would sell Sancho, bench Di Maria, and keep Sanchez. That's what I would do. Nicky T says, I can't make my mind up. Semenyo would be beneficial. Maybe bringing Semenyo on when bringing Bournemouth off. Miss my J. Yeah, sorry, Scotty. Not on purpose, my friend. Semenyo for me, look, if there's a deal to be done for £65 million, this is a conundrum for me. I generally don't know. It's almost a bit like, and again, I'm going to try to find out a little bit more. It's almost a bit like when you play FIFA, right? And every player wants to come to you, right? What do you do? Do you overstock a number? My one of my opinions is you've got Mason Mount there. You've got a Xerxes there. Do you make room by getting rid of a Manu? My question out there is, would you get rid of Mainu and bring Semenyo in? Would you play Semenyo as another number 10? We're talking about Shesko. Shesko is now injured for a month. Shesko, it could be a case that Shesko is going to take him a little while to get back into the groove. Cunha is going to have to play probably up front as a false nine. And then does Semenyo fix that problem? I think he probably does, But then what then happens when Mbeumo comes back? Imagine this, right? Imagine having a team of Semenyo, Mbeumo, Cunha, Shesko. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. Now, could we fit these all into a team? Now, this is where we are. So, £65 million, the release clause. Would you go and get him? I don't know. I don't know. Is Semenyo more important than a centre midfielder? Look, and again, I've seen reports tonight as well about Gomez as well. £47 million. Would you? The question here, and Scott, I'm going to ask you a question, my friend. Would you go for Semenyo or Gomez signing? What would you deem more important? Would you deem a centre midfielder more important? Would you deem another number 10 more important? Now, on the basis that we've got Ahmad as well. Ahmad's going to go as well. We're going to need another wing back. Scott says CM all day. It's almost like there's an opportunity here to go and get another one of the best players. Nicky T says I'd spend it on a technical wing back instead of a CM. Nicky T, interesting point. I do think this debate is a fascinating debate. If we can only sign one player in this window, who are we going to sign? Now, get in your opinions on that, and then I'm going to go through, and we can come back to the Semenyo thing as well. We can pick that up again, but segue into Mark Ogden and Rob Dawson of ESPN. So this is basically, I'm going to read this verbatim, not word for word. I've made some notes about what was said. So United are not interested, and this is what they basically said, that United have no intention of doing any signings in the January window. They're not interested in bringing anybody in. They're looking to cut £1 million a week from the wages. I think some of this is partially true. I think some of it is obvious. The money will be overall Amorim's next phase of this squad. Now, immediately, and again, we'll go through some stuff as well. United are not interested in bringing any signings in. They've got no intentions, and I think that no intentions bit is done on purpose. They've got no intentions of strengthening in the side at all. Now let's talk about this. Okay, so number one, what's already put pay to that is Amorim and Wilcox. Wilcox, in his interview with MUTV, has already said, look, they talk every day. It depends on the situation of the club. It depends on injuries, and bear that in mind now. Shesko. Chris Blaze says, hello, fellas. Chris, legend. Mr. Free says, many Qatari owners, the Glazers and Shajim, they need to go. Qatari owners would spend money on club staff and make the atmosphere better, not penny pinch. Steve said, we're stacked with number 10s, desperate for stability in the midfield. And this is, guys, this is the conversation I want to start off tonight. This breaking Semenyo news of this 65 million clause, and we are in this debate. We're in this conversation now, Mr. Freeze. I'm with you. I'll go through that really quickly. I'm not bothered about Qatari owners as such, right? If Qatari owners come in and buy the club. Saudis, Qataris. Look, if I could have my ideal how we, and sorry guys, the stream is awful tonight because internet is awful tonight. I can only apologise. It's awful tonight. So hopefully it's going to fix itself. But yeah, I'm going to prefix this with the internet is awful tonight. So look, I'll answer that really, really quickly, Mr. Freeze. In terms of the overall rhetoric of what you're saying, I agree. I think Ineos, I'm not talking about the football side. Ineos are the enemies of this club as far as I'm concerned. They've propped up the Glazers. The Glazers seem to be getting away with it scot-free. If I was to pick the perfect ownership, it would be 50-50, or it would be 51-49 between a responsible owner and the fans. You know, if that was an option for me, that is an option that I would pick. I think, you know, having it in the fans' hands. I don't mind having an ownership whereby we live on what we earn. I don't mind sustainability. Got no problem with that at all. If Saudi, Qatar come in, look, I've always said this. It doesn't matter who owns this club, and I've said this. They are custodians of this club. They own it in name, but they don't own this club. This club belongs to us. This club will be here long after us. This club will be long here like after those guys. So look, I agree with you. Steve says we stacked at number 10. Chippy Champ says, good God, a guy with a whining southern accent talking about United is just embarrassing. Chippy Chump, with a name like that, I'm embarrassed for you. I think, not being funny, but the channel is getting bigger now, and clearly you're not part of this community. If you don't want to be here, mate, piss off. Like, I've literally got no time. I've got no, you know, this community is built on respect. It's completely free. If you don't like me, look, I don't know what's going on in your little life right now, why you've got to be so bitter. Feel free to piss off. Literally got no time. Even the mate day off tomorrow says Herb. So watching for as long as your connections will allow. Haha. Tonight, honestly, I've literally checked the stream. I've got like 1 meg. So I'm literally having to use my phone's internet. Harold Saint says, I don't mind this stream, but I would say Scott consistently in the chat is a little strange to be honest. Look, Scott is a moderator. Scott is a moderator. You know, Scott is part of the furniture. You know, big up to Scott. You know, he does a fantastic job on here. So, you know, look, all I'm saying is we're a community. We don't need to. What's the point of the moderator? So, Harold, the point of it is we've got people like whatever his name is, Chimpy Twatface. And then so Scott can ban people as well. So we do have a couple of people like who are moderators. But look, we are a little bit of a family on here. You know, you don't have to get on with everybody on here, but I do look. We've all got different opinions, and I think as long as we're all respectful of our opinions, look, you know, we can, you know, look, we're a little family, right? Mr. Free says, go awful behaviour. Yeah, Chris says, I'm so glad we signed in Boomo. He works like his life is at stake every game. I think he's going to be missed. I think he's going to be absolutely missed. Good luck with your stream, but just from the outside, he's bringing your brand down. I disagree. I think everybody needs a Scott, I think we all need the amount of different people that we can bring in here. I think is important to the community. But look, Mr. Banhammer is brought down the house. So look, Mark Ogden. We'll go through this again. So Mark Ogden, Rob Dawson of ESPN, basically saying that we are not going to make any more. We're just not going to sign anybody, right? Now, my ultimate observation here is, how the F do they know? This club is not giving anything to those guys. They may be briefed on some things, but there is no way that those two are getting anything out of this club. Romano, Ornstein, they are the ones that get things out of this club. And Mr. Free says, every time I see the Lime kit, I get flashbacks to Brentford losing 4-0 when Cristiano missed that header. On the hottest day of the year in England, Scott can't take criticism. Look, tonight is not about calling each other out. Look, Scott, let's just agree to disagree. Look, we are tonight. Let's just agree to disagree on things. So look, important things at hand. Look, where do I think this report is right? I think that I think Scott. I think we're not going to ban anyone else. Tyler, we're gonna look. Let's not take personal shots at each other tonight. Let's take personal shots at this club. Let's take personal shots at Mark Ogden, and let's take personal shots at Rob for talking out of their arsehole, right? It's got to be called out, right? I've said, right? I've said this, right? I've said that I think that we will sign a single player, right? I have nailed my nuts to the wall on this one, and I'm not going to be removed. I will report you the news. I will hope and pray that this is true. Mind the gap, Manx. Taffy Mackham says that. I'm trying to play FC. Look, Scott, mate, you play FC, and look, yeah, it's cool. I think, like, I've said this, right? That I believe Omar Barada is all talk for me. Why would Man City not want him anymore? Look at Sir Brosford's departure. And Mr. Freeze, I am with you. I am with you on this one. We all knew. I predicted this. Frugal Boy says, good day, JB. Welcome, my friend. Taffy Mac says, only playing while it lasts. Enjoy the chat. Look, Taffy, you're welcome here, my friend. Absolutely welcome. Get in here, mate. Give me your opinions. Banter is welcome. Banter is absolutely okay. He's all talk unless he can prove something which he hasn't. And this is it. This is it, right? This is it. This is where I'm at. My opinion on this has been, there's no value in the market. As a club, this is what we say. This is what we've always said. So what Mark Ogden, what he's doing is he's basically doing what I'm doing, in my humble opinion, and having a bit of a guess. The difference between me and him is he's got an audience. He is a blue tick guy. He went to whatever school he went to. We are basing it, and I base it on what we've done before. There is no integrity from ESPN. They don't know. They don't know. It's a guess. Now, he then goes on to talk about, we're going to be saving, they want to save £1 million a week. I get it, right? We're going to, if Casemiro leaves, Rashford leaves, a load of players are going to leave, right? I think that's true. But any one of us could work that out, right? And then Ogden, I think he's guessing. I've said this, and I do think that we get things right on here. Talking to you, amazing people. Obviously, don't forget to stick a like on the video. It really does help the channel out more than you ever know. Is that we know this club. We know David Baker says Manchester City. Look, mate, you are welcome here, my friend. We have some amazing rival fans, so please be part of that. Chris Blaze says Shaw and Delo, they got to go. I agree. Chris, I think if you've watched me before, especially on games, Luke Shaw makes my eye twitch. Luke Shaw does have to go, and this is, this what I'm trying to do, especially now whilst we need these players, is I'm trying to be supportive of these players. I think, Chris, it's really important that we do say it as we see it when these players play like they have been. Mr. Free says it was a shame when Luke Shaw I watched that game. It was, look, with Luke Shaw, it is, I like Luke Shaw. I really did. And I've still got no problem with Luke Shaw. I don't know him as a person. I'm sure he's a great guy, right? It's nothing personal. If, as a club, we want to move forward, you've got a player who was out for two years. And now, how can we rely on that same player? I've got no problem with Luke Shaw. We have to move on. Paul James Armin says get rid of Luke Shaw. Chris Blake says Shaw had 10 years. It is time. Agree. I'm trying to be a better person, right? I'm trying to be a more supportive person. If you guys watch it, it's really difficult for me to be positive about Luke Shaw, only on the basis that I think his time is done. I think his time is through, and I'm trying to promote a balanced argument, right? But how do you feel about Tony Cummins, says John? Let me go back. Liverpool FC, Lancaster Bomber, legend, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well. I will answer that, John, in a second. I will give you my opinion on that. A little off topic, but the amount of money in football blows my mind. 250 a week is mental, let alone 500. And this is so it's really, I don't know if you saw this, right? But what I did see this afternoon today was there was a post up, right, of salaries from about 98, right? Roy Keane was on 15 grand, David Beckham was on 15 grand, Alan Shearer was on about 25, Duncan Ferguson was on 20, and then Zidane was on something like, I don't know, 20. And then you go to the Italian league and they were on like 50, 60, 70k, right? Ridiculous times. And now, as you say, it blows my mind. 250k, 500k a week. I mean, it is unbelievable. Minnow says, what do you think about Honda? Are you talking about the goalkeeper Honda, or are you talking about a car? Like I'm obviously know you're talking about a player, right? I don't mind player. I don't mind. I don't mind him at all. I think we've moved beyond Honda. And if it's the same Honda I'm thinking about is the goalkeeper, or you're talking about Honda who basically was the Japanese like player from the mid noughties. What do you feel about Tony Cullen? John, if we're referring to Luca Toni, if you're referring to Ivan Toni, I always say Luca Toni, that Fiorentina striker from the early noughties, fantastic player. Ivan Toni, I like him. I'd like him. I'd like him to come. Shesko, I'll segue to Shesko, and then I'll come back to why I think we need another striker. Shesko apparently is out. Shesko is out for a month now. I don't know, and that is apparently is the worst case scenario. So that puts him out until the 17th of December. Now, I'm gutted. I'm gutted for Shesko because I think Shesko needed a run of games. Now, there are a load of things that I think Shesko does and did that I thought were class. I think he needs a run of games. Shesko, I think him being out for a couple of weeks, I think could be a good thing because I think it takes him out of the firing line a little bit because, he was getting absolutely pelters when, people like Isaac Verts were not really getting as much criticism as they should have done. So I think Shesko being out, I think is sad for me because I think he needed to build up that form. It pisses on Mr. Dawson and ESPN because they're saying that we're definitely not going to sign anybody. Well, Shesko's out. I mean, we need a striker. So coming back to somebody like an Ivan Toney, I think he'd be a brilliant signing. I think he'd be great. I'd like somebody like that. A Garassi as well. I don't think we're going to do that deal. I think we should have done that deal 18 months ago. I thought he would have been perfect. I know there were many people at the time were turning up their nose at him. He was like 15, 17 million pound, I think, at the time. I was a big fan of his, big fan. You could see the potential. I know the Bundesliga, but somebody like that. I think what we need is a striker to come in who is going to help and push a Shesko, who's a little bit older, who's going to help and push a Shesko. So now that Shesko is injured, ESPN are going to have to backtrack. I think, Wilcox has said it as well. Grace says, if your balance says something nice about Diego Dalot. Look, what I'll say about him is this, right, Grace, is that, look, he's doing his best this season. I'm not going to say that I think he's a good player because I don't think that. But look, he's doing his best. Amorim is asking him to play. What's he supposed to do? What is he supposed to do? He is what we've got. I admire the fact that he's taking, I admire players who are taking pelters, and he obviously reads social media, right? But for him to turn up every week and play, I've got to admire that. He's doing stuff for the team. Whether or not I think he's good, I don't think he is, and I think many people share that view. Again, I'm not. When the games are back in game, I will comment on players. Outside of games, we have to support them. I would love for him to play amazing from now until the end of the season. I'd love him to score the winner in games. I'd love him to be the best wing back in the league. But right now he's not. But what I do admire is, I do admire the fact that he's asked to play. He comes on and he plays. Sometimes when you're available, it goes a long way. Mr. Fisher, I would bring back Paddy McNair back to the club. Always plays well for Northern Ireland. That's a good observation. Nicky T says, I like Shaw. And again, there are many people that like Luke Shaw. I've got no problem with Luke Shaw. As I've said, I don't like him. I think it is I just think we need to move on from a Luke Shaw. There are many people like yourselves that absolutely like Luke Shaw. No problem with that. This channel is about opinion. This is about your opinion. This is why I read your opinions out. And even if I comment on an opinion or we don't agree, it doesn't mean I'm disrespecting your opinion. It's just a case of look, we all have our views. He was up and coming during Van Gaal. Paddy McNair, you're kidding. Chris says, so Dello is a nice guy, but his footballing IQ is the worst in the whole squad. And again, we've got these nice guys in this squad. There's no malice towards these players. That there is, there, there are fans who go and they abusive to these players, right? I'm not a fan at all. That's something I absolutely do not condone at all. But there comes a time where if we want to progress as a club, then we have to move on from these players. And I think sometimes, this club almost harms these players' careers by continuing with a sham. Mr. Freese is on loan. Start bench. Okay, so Scott says, sell bench, start Modric, Cruz, Bellingham. So Bellingham gets sold, Modric starts, and Cruz gets benched for me. Herb says, I agree, Chris Blade. So he has not progressed at all, and he's gone backwards. His body, not the brain. Grace says, early 2000 strikers from Italy were quality. Adriano, Inzaghi were my favourites. Who were my favourites from the 90s? I like Crespo. I liked Vieri. I like George Weah, Shevchenko. Just trying to think. I liked, what was his name? Played for Udinese. Played until he was about 40. What was his name? Di Natale. I think he was good. Luca Toni was good. So many players, so many Italian strikers. Inzaghi as well. Great players. We need a top striker. Ronaldo really should come back to help out. Top or Lewandowski. Mr. Freeze, I think you make a good point. I think Cristiano now. I think he's beyond. Look, I think that ship has sailed. Lewandowski is an interesting one. He's that Cavani, Zlatan sort of signing. I think he's a touch too old. I think somebody that I would probably go for would be somebody like a Harry Kane if we get to the Champions League. I think Kane would be perfect to come into the squad. I think Kane would be good to help Šeško. I think Kane would, but the problem with Kane right now, he plays deep. He goes into the number 10 role. So we need. I don't know. That's the thing for me is I think you've got on to something there. I think if we could get a Zlatan type, I thought Zlatan was probably one of the best of that older strikers that we bought. Cristiano come back and was a revelation for that one season. So I think you're on to something. I just don't know for me who I would go and get to come in and sort of help Šeško, because they would need to come in, help Šeško, OB. John says, I'm a Brentford supporter and I think you need height in the box. I agree with you, John. I think we are quite a small team. I think we need some height. Liverpool FC Lancaster says, I remember being at Anfield in the early 80s. Alan Kennedy kicked the ball. It went the wrong way and it nearly ended up in Goodison. The fella next to me said 500 a week for doing it. I watched, and I keep saying this, I watched the King Kenny thing on Netflix, right? I genuinely recommend it to people, and I know I'm a United fan, but look, I respect football, I respect teams, and it's always nice to go back and sort of just sort of look at what teams used to be like. King Kenny, I mean that team just unreal. I just hope Šeško isn't another. Rasmus says 1, 2, 3, 4. He is apparently Kenny Dalglish was on 1,000 a week. He was unreal. I mean, he was absolutely unreal to come in to replace Keegan. So Keegan left to go to Hamburg, right? And for Kenny to come in and do what he did in that team was unreal. January signings says Mr. Free should be Ronaldo, Paddy McNair, all on loan. Mr. Freeze wants to take us back to 2014, is it? Blumenthal says, can you believe Anthony? Oh, yeah. So AJ is fighting Jake Paul on the 19th of December. Blooming Tiger, it's a joke. I don't. It's all about the bunts. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. I don't know why AJ would take that fight. Unless he needs a payday. Unless AJ knocks him out cold, no respect for the guy. I've got little respect for AJ as it is, due to some of the political stuff that he said and did. But time sort of moves on. And I respect anybody that gets into the ring, and they don't have to do it, but I do respect people who go into the ring, put their life on the line. Look, respect there. But unless he goes out and literally takes his head clean off, which he should do, no check Google now. Also, Brandon Williams should come back and be given another chance. Come on now, Mr. Freeze. I'm hoping that this bloody stream. Right. Luke Obi says, hi, I have made it's joke for boxing. Del Piero. Totti as well. Yeah, Totti was absolute just quality player. Charisma was a baller. He was. Maybe also we should bring Gav Bell out of retirement, or Cantona. For me, it was Paul Baggio. Romario. I know Romario was Spanish, but Baggio. Batistuta as well. Baggio was just legend. Oops, did I really meet a United fan? How's your team's museum doing? Love the banter. That's some good banter. Let us know who you support. I can't read your name because I don't, but look, yeah, get into the chat. Can't stand AJ. Prophet Eric LaSalle says we need powerful midfielders and strikers. We do. Marty says Leeds. Look, Leeds United. Look, we have some amazing rival fans on here. Marty, you're welcome to get into this amazing community. So much respect and love from me. Herb says Viali. Viali as well. Just it's taking me back. It's taking me back. Steve says Batty goal. Thomas says, do you think United might sign Eriksson from the Championship in? I don't know enough about him. I don't know. United needs to do something. That's my opinion. Romario was from Brazil, but I was talking about Italian strikers in Serie A, not necessarily Italian strikers, if that makes sense. So I was talking more about Italian Serie A strikers as opposed to Italian strikers, if that makes sense. But I know Romario played in Spain, didn't he? So Zola says Herb. Bergkamp as well. I think Bergkamp played in Italy, didn't he? But Paul, yeah. Look, I mean, yeah. So where are we? Best 90s footballer is Rivaldo. Oh, best 90s footballer. That's not a bad one. I think the best 90s footballer for me, talent, I think United are great. They are, my friend. Zidane, yeah. Baggio, yeah. See, I was going to go for R9, but I think R9 was good towards the back end of the 90s, wasn't he? I love Zidane. I think Zidane's brilliant. I mean, Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho was more thousands, though, wasn't he? He was more like 2001. I think he was more sort of that era, wasn't he? I think R9 was around that as well when he cast. I think R9 was Cafu as well. Yeah, I liked Batistuta. I thought he was immense. I'm just trying to think of Brazilian, Argentinian players. Yeah, I mean the 90s. What about? I'm just trying to think who was in that. Do you remember that Nike advert? And it was the Devils against the team, right? I can Buffon, Crespo. Despite Herb says despite his off-field Giggsy, I think Giggsy's got a shout. Au revoir, yeah. When he flicks up his shirt, right? Oh, I love that advert. And then what was the one where the Brazilian team were going through the airport? I think it was as well. Like, you can't beat those. Paul says, I always had the Italian highlight show on a Sunday morning in the 90s. Oh, it went Go Lazio. That was brilliant. I loved that. That was on Channel 4 Sunday. You're right. Channel 4 Sunday, Italia 90. Sorry, Serie A, just fantastic. I used to love that. Absolutely brilliant. Where are we? So look, let's sort of go back to the show slightly. So look, Shesko. Let's talk about Shesko. Vialli was another amazing. So I think, where are we tonight? Mandy, legend of the cat, as always, my friend. Look, Semenyo. This is the nostalgia brings a tear to my old eye. I mean, my eyes are old as well, mate. I remember. Yeah, I mean, I'm so old. I can remember Greavesy and what's his name show on. I think it was Saturday. Was it Greavesy and what's his bloody name? You had Grandstand as well. With Lynham was on it, and I remember Saint and Greavesy, yeah. And then I remember I used to rush home from the park on a Saturday about, what time is it? About 4:45, and you'd listen to the football scores. Brilliant, absolute, just fantastic times. Even when the Dream Team came out, first of all, like having to add it all up each week, right? So we'd play it in school, and then you used to have to work it out on a piece of paper. And sometimes you give yourself some extra points. You might give yourself like an extra 10 points. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you used to play the Dream Team, 80s were the best. Now that I was Alan Hansen, a match of the day. Yeah. I remember the back end of the 80s. I was born in 1983, so I do remember probably from about 87, 88. I remember being 4 or 5. I remember when the Ghostbusters came out and looking through the Argos, and looking at all the fantastic times. I almost don't want to talk about Shesko now, but yeah, Shesko. It's a shame. Okay, Manny says, can we discuss this weekend match? Bunch of old fogies. Thanks, Scott. Scotty's a young whippersnapper. You're a young man in your prime. So look, let's talk about the upcoming games. So Everton at home. Old is gold, Herb. Old is gold. I probably will say this. I am probably the most relaxed I've ever been in my life. Because at some point when you get older, you sort of not give up, but you resign, right? You just go, I'm not, I'm getting older, you know, I just, let's go to fixtures. Look, Everton at home. Let's go for match. So look, I don't know, and again, I'll start to look at it this week a little bit more. So Everton at home, Monday night. So look, we are going to be the Monday night crew, I believe, for the next couple of weeks. So we are on a Monday, at 8 o'clock. So that's going to be a late one. I'll do a watch along for that one. Everton, where are they in the league? So Everton, let's just do a quick one on that. So Everton at the moment are 13th on 15 points, so they're only 5 behind us. 1 drawn, 2 losses, a win, -1 for goal difference, scored 12, conceded 13. I think this is a game that we should win. I will go through it a little bit more towards the end of the week, and when we do the conference, of course, and we will go that. Football's back. Football's back. I can't bloody wait. I absolutely cannot wait. Football is back. Thank the Lord. It's going to be busy. It's going to be busy now. We're going to get, we are going to get bunch of spin. We're going to get indicator coming out. We're going to get all these accounts coming out saying that we're going to sign at X, Y, and Z. Do I now think so? I'll give you my opinion. Do I now think that we're going to potentially look to sign an important sign? So, in the words of Romano, Scott says, better start to pick your coffins, you lot. Thanks, mate. Thanks, buddy. Look, Scott. It will come to you. You'll blink and you'll be 42, 50. Old is gold, as Herb says. Old is gold. Do I think that will now sign an important player, as Fabrizio would say? Do you think you'll ever do earlier streams in the evening? Yes. I do plan to do it. Just at the moment, this seems to work best. And obviously, look, I'm not going to lie, right? The problem with doing an earlier stream is obviously I would love to do it about 8 o'clock, but the problem with that is obviously you've got the biggest one out there who stream at 8 o'clock, right? Also, there's nobody, and this sounds a bit thing, right? But there's nobody right now who does what we do at this time of night, right? I would like to do like a 9:30 show. So I think what I am going to start to do is do like a 9:30 show, because that is what I would like to do. But I don't think there's anybody out there right now who does what we do at this time of night. I think this community is amazing. I don't think there are many channels who get this many views at this time of night. I think we're niche. I think you guys bring in so much to this chat and to the channel. I mean, it is unreal at times. So I am going to do an earlier one. I just need to plan it out. Also, I do want to start to bring you guys into it as well, a little bit more. Maybe bring you guys into the show. Maybe we do like a live stream. I'll bring some of you in to the show. We can have a chat. There will be conversations beforehand about if you come onto the show, we've got to keep it clean, Scott. But no, look, we're going to expand. When the hopefully the channel gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The bigger the channel gets, the more stuff that I can do. I'd love to do more. I'd love for this to be my job. Be honest, where will you finish? Esteval does it again. Where do I think we finished? Herb says, fingers crossed for earlier streams, mate. I prefer you to all that. Herb, I mean, look, mate, that in itself is amazing. I can't, honestly, I can't thank you enough, and it blows my mind for you to say that. And again, I will be doing different streams. I think, I'm knackered. Like, I work all day as well. So look, I appreciate that, and all I'm going to say, this channel doesn't work without you guys. So you guys are legends. Manny says, any plan B for the African players that's going to the Nations Cup? This really will affect United in the January window. Look, Semenyu's been mentioned now, £65 million for Semenyo. Gomez as well. There are reports coming out I've seen tonight of £47 million. I think for £47 million, that's not a bad shout. So Gallagher, for me, I think ultimately when the dust settles, I think that we will come out with a Gallagher. I'm adamant on that, but I do think circumstances have slightly changed. I think Shesko being injured, I think in Bumo, and Scott, you're right, Liverpool want him as well. Nicky T says, I'm a night owl, I work nights, off tonight though. Nicky T, thank you for being here, my friend. I am a little bit of a night owl as well. I work, but I rarely sleep. I am a night person as well. Like, I've always been the same, right? There are stories of me when I was younger. I would keep up my mum at night, crying the place down. That's probably why she hated my cats for the first 7 or 8 years of my life. But yeah, I've always, I've never slept. I can see you're an honest guy. I won't stream for the sake of it, clickbait and all that. I mean, look, Herb, that's one thing that there is no point in me doing that, because you guys will know. JB is a man. JB is a man of the night. Yeah, I am a man of all hours, Scott. Like I wanted to do something different on here. Primarily give you guys a voice, and I know, and again, I'm not bagging on other channels. Other channels get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm sure they started off with that. I've always come alive at night, says Nicky T. Mate. I think you're either a night person, or you're either a sort of, you fall asleep at like an earlier time, right? I've always been come to about, and again, I could fall asleep at 9 o'clock at night, and then if I'm awake, I will then stay awake. So I'll fall asleep from maybe 9 o'clock till about 9:30, 10, and then I'm awake. Ping, I'm up. I've always been the same. I'm up until all hours. So Scott, mate, that is what happens when you play FC 26, mate. You get that rush of endorphins, mate. Being like that from being a kid, and Scott, mate, yeah, it is. It's one of those things whereby it just comes from being a kid. Also, as well, as I get told all of the time, being on your screen and all that jazz, and I'm just like, all right, okay. It is true, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Sorry. So look, where are we with the next game? So we are Everton next. We are at home. I'm expecting us to win this game. I think David Moyes will come with a point of proof. I do think he will. I think we'll have too much. Now, I am again, I'm going to restart. So, for example, the Spurs game. After the last two performances, I always thought we were going to draw against Spurs. I didn't predict a win. I think we reset. We go again, and what's really important, Scott says here, next 10 games you get 18 to 20 points. Interesting. What do I think we'll get? I think that we beat Everton, Palace. I don't know. Palace is a hard one. So I think we beat. Right, we beat the Toffees. I think we draw against Palace. I think we beat West Ham. I think we can beat Wolves. What's that? 3, 6, 9, 10. Bournemouth, I think, will be a tricky one. I think we can. Okay, I'm going to say this. I'm gonna change. I think Toffees we beat, Palace we lose, West Ham we win, Wolves we win, Bournemouth we draw, Villa we draw, Newcastle we win, Wolves we win, and that's what's that? I think that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17. Yeah. I think we get 17. Still a long way, says Herb, to go back before I can confidently back this team, be let down. And Herb, this is where I've been all season. I gave him the benefit of the doubt against. Well, I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt against Spurs at all, actually. But after the Liverpool game, I gave him the next game. I am with you, Herb. I still don't trust these players, but I have to believe that we can. I don't trust this team, and again, this team has to start again, right? They have to see this now. Is like they haven't lost in 5. They now have to start again. Let's go for each game. So again, now they're going to have to start again, and I think if we can win at home, like I think this, the Everton game, I think will set us up. I think if we can come back straight away, we can win that game. It sets us up. Right, Palace is going to be a difficult game. It's going to be an absolute awful game. I think it's going to be a very, very difficult game. I think we can. Do I think that we can win that? We should win it. West Ham at home, I think we will win that. Scott says, my only problem is when Mbeumo and Ahmad go, I can't see where the goals come from. Scott, you make an excellent point. Eb says, I want to believe in Amorim, but when he hid in the dugout against Grimsby, I saw a coward. Look, that Grimsby game, I think, was a turning point for everybody. And when I say that, I think it was a turning point in a good way and a bad way. I think, look, there was, when Amorim turned around and couldn't face the penalties, I didn't see a coward. But again, Herb, look, if that's, mate, that's your opinion on it. What I saw was a man bereft of ideas. What I saw was a man who was bereft of plans, bereft of ideas. You don't need a game plan against them. Manu, I think, for me, I think that was the game where opinion on him, at least from the manager, changed. He should have changed on most of those plays. But look, Herb, I'm with you. I want to give this manager time. I've been saying it the whole of the season. The Grimsby game, when I got battered, I got pelters for that. I watched all the preseason games. I did all the preseason games on here. There were things that I wanted to see that I didn't see necessarily. But we've got to back this manager. I think if we don't back this manager, I think we are in trouble, because we've now arranged a team that's in the mechanical, in the planning is an Amorim team. He doesn't have his players, but we are mechanically building this team for the system. So I think these next 10 games, I think they will finish our season. Once we've come out of the back of these 10 games, we are pretty much we are 20 games in. We're over half of the season. So I'll see that. Herb says, I just hope he grows from that experience. Got to be brave. And Herb, he will. I've always said this about him. He's 40 years old. I think he might be 41, or he will be soon. If you look at all the best coaches, they get better. You could argue Pep, maybe, but everyone else, they get better as they get older, right? Fergie was the same. Ancelotti was the same. If you come back and you look at Amorim in 5 to 10 years' time, he'll be better. He'll be so much better than he was, because as much as we've taken a chance. He may not be the guy, but I think what people don't get, and what I've been impressed with so far, is he is changing this team. He is changing this team. He's got this team. This team is being held, other than some parts of it, are being held together with sticky tape and glue. This is not his side. So I've got respect for him. Again, as much as I don't think these players are good enough, look, they're doing a job together. We are getting through the season together, right? This is about, look, we're going to get through the season, and hopefully next season will be a real change, and we really will see some of these players. But I think we have to invest. If we want the Champions League, and if we want to progress more and really see change at this club in terms of players, then I think we definitely need to back this manager. Maladin says, "Nice jersey, thank you." I mean, I don't know which one. I've got the AIG one up there now as well. I've got the classic, the original 99 shirt. So I support you on that. He must be given time. Remember, Amorim has also bought because of his style of play. Steve says, one of the major differences is the goalkeeper. If Onana was in goal, we'd be bottom half again. Glory, Man United. Original, my friend. Yeah, that is an original. That is my original one from when I was 15 years old. That is a replica. That one is original as well. So I've got this blue one here. That's my original from when I was about 10. That's my original from when I was 15. And I've got a couple of more shirts. But yeah, some of those are my original one. And that one still looks bloody fantastic. That one. Go Anthony. Goat and Anthony. I don't know if Anthony's, but look, I what I love about this channel and what I love about talking to you guys is the opinions, right? This is your platform to voice your opinions, right? You're not going to get judged, right? I'm not going to call you people out because you've got an opinion on a player. Now, if you think that Sancho, for example, is a goat, that's up to you. I'm never going to call you out on your opinions. This channel really is about your opinions, and you come here, and as long as we are all respectful to each other, that's what this channel is about. I mean, I've in the past, anyone going to watch Stranger Things season 5? Yes, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a watch. I quite liked it. I thought it was quite good. I'm going to give it a watch. I do hope it's not gonna fade. So yeah, I am looking forward to that. I saw Anthony's potential since he was at Ajax. He's very good when the tempo of the game is low. I think Anthony, I think there are players that suit certain leagues, right? I am really watching them also, Scott. I think there are certain players that suit certain leagues. Now, I'm not a big fan of calling other leagues farmers leagues, right? I'm not a fan of that, right? But I think the main difference between the Premier League and I've got to give you context, right? I think the main difference between the Premier League and Herb says anyone referring to Sancho as a goat needs calling out. I don't think anybody is gonna call him a goat, right? I think the difference is competitive. I think is competitive teams. I think that this is why what you see, and I think you're going to see it more so in this World Cup. I think you're going to see this season is a ridiculously competitive Premier League. I think what you're going to see in the World Cup this year, I think you will see Premier League stars really, really shine this year. I think that is what you're going to see this year. I think this year is a ridiculously competitive Premier League. And I think you're going to see probably some of the best players from this league. I really, really do. Anthony, look, I've got no problem with him. We were stupid enough to pay that sort of money for him. I agree with Scott. I don't think he was suited for the Premier League. I think he's where he belongs. I think he's loved by the fans. I think he's adored by the fans. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong in seeing a player do well. There's some players that I don't want to see do particularly well. But look, I'm glad he's found his team. I'm glad he's found his place. G says I'm fan of Robin van Persie since Arsenal and United, the Flying Dutchman. Rasmus recall because we need a striker. We can't recall Rasmus. Well, we can, but we'd have to pay for him, so we can't recall. So, and this is why the Semenyo thing I think is an interesting debate, because if we're going to lose a number 10, right? So this is my argument for a Semenyo, right? Is that I think we need a centre midfielder. If getting Semenyo means we don't get a centre midfielder, knock it on the head. Pola says, I hope United will become successful again. Doesn't matter if we take 20 years. Agreed. Now, Scott, I agree with you that he's a winger, but he can also play as a 10. Now, this is sort of where I'm at on it, right? Is that Cunha, we're going to miss one of our number 10s, right? Ahmad is going to go as well, right? I think Semenyo could come in as one of the number 10s and Cunha can go up top. The problem is that then what do you do with him when our players come back? And that's the issue for me. Unless we want him as a wing back, I don't think he will do. But yeah, I think it's an interesting debate to have. Steve says, all talks of Anthony, Rashford, Sancho, McTominay, all negative parts of our past. We need to move forward. Steve, I agree with you, mate. I think the McTominay thing is, look, as much as I do I think we possibly failed him? I don't know. But you're right. You're right, Steve. I think you're spot on. We've got to move forward. Now, I talk about moving on from Luke Shaw, moving on from Bruno Fernandes. I think you're right, Steve. I think we need to change. I think we need to evolve as a Webster Ten Hag should return. Obviously, banter. We don't mind it. Yeah, I think Ten Hag is going to go to Liverpool. I think that's where he should go. G says United started to decline when they took many players from the academy, starting with Martial and others. Now, Martial didn't sign from the academy. Martial was a Monaco player. Again, Martial at times was unbelievable. I thought he was an absolute fantastic player. No, again, attitude, injuries. I think probably his biggest thing, but I think he was a fantastic player. I thought he was a fantastic player. Scott's right. Ten Hag, smart guy with Ajax. I think Martial was 18, nearly 19. And look at what he did, the Liverpool game. I mean, that goal that he scored, he was unbelievable. What a player he was. Ten Hag, smart guy with Ajax. Ten Hag, I can't work Ten Hag out. I can't work Ten Hag out. I think Ten Hag had all the attributes to be a fantastic coach. Ajax, he proved it there. I was excited. I was excited. I really thought Ten Hag was going to be the guy. I thought he was going to play this expansive brand of football. I think the problem with Ten Hag, I think if we had the footballing structure that we have now, I think Ten Hag would have been okay. I think Ten Hag was a victim of Arnold and the Murta sort of era. I know he got signings. Ineos sort of came in last summer and brought him signings, but I think by that time, I think it was too late. The writing was on the wall. And I think if he'd have had that a year earlier, and also don't forget, he wasn't Ineos' man, was he? So, G says, at the time, 2014, they took many young players without leaving any experienced players. That was the beginning of the broken. Erik ten Hag packed man management skills, bit of an awkward character. Yeah, I mean, I can't work him out. I can't work him out. I wanted to like. I did. You're right. You are right. I think he rubbed people up the wrong way, and I think his problem. I think his biggest problem is he's very Dutch, right? And what I mean by that is you've got Van Gaal, who was a disciplined coach, tactical coach, intelligent coach, but Van Gaal had personality to go with it. Sorry, Scott. He was 18 or 19. We got him from Monaco. It doesn't matter if you can't watch. You can't watch this for 20 years. Can you not read my comment, JB? Herb says it's similar. Agreed. And that's what I think it is. I think Ten Hag is just very Dutch. I think he's just a very Dutch coach. And I think that's why Ajax it worked, because I think they got him there. You know, when you're in Holland, I think you get that. He's just very Dutch. You know, and I think Van Gaal, and I think who was the other one? You had Van Gaal and what was his bloody name? He was Barcelona coach, and he had the moustache. What was his name? You had Van Gaal and the other guy. He was a Barcelona coach, not Cruyff. I can't remember his name now. But again, he had a personality as well. So I think that's where the problems were. Ruud has slightly better management skills. I do, but I think Ruud, because he was in United for such a long time, you almost lose that. And also, if you listen to Van Persie as well, I think Van Persie, you know, those Dutch English players. But yeah, I think that was his issue. No, it was another Dutch guy. I can't remember. It's gonna bug me. It's going to bug me. What was his name? He was a coach. It wasn't Van Gaal. It was the other one who was around the same time. And I'm sure he managed Barcelona in the 90s. I'm sure he did. It's going to bug me. It's going to bug me so much. I need to find out. I do need to find out. I'm going to see if I can, because it is going to bug me. It's going to bug the life out of me if I don't find this guy. Best Dutch managers. It's going to bug. Steve. I'm sure. Is it Gus Hiddink? I just need to see his face. I just need to see his face. Gus Hiddink. Right, let's see. Was it Gus Hiddink? What? I think so. Best Dutch managers. I think it might have been him. Best Dutch managers. Right, let's have a look. No, it wasn't Dick Advocaat. It must have been. Was it him? It must have been. Oh, hang on a minute. It must have been Gus Hiddink. Yeah. But again, those sorts of coaches, and the point I'm trying to make anyway was, I think that's why Ten Hag was bad, because he doesn't know how to talk to people. Newcastle, interesting to see two tiers ones going head to head with Percy pushing Anderson and Ornstein talking up Baleba. Yeah, agreed. There's all sorts. You've got Mark Ogden of ESPN basically saying that we're not going to do anything at all. Fabrizio Romano has come out and basically before that said that we are. It's all kicking off. It is now that time. It is kicking off, and I think it's going to be wild. I think what we've had is going to be the calm before the storm. And I think the next couple of weeks, the next couple of days, when football comes back, I think we'll have Amorim conference coming back. We'll talk more about the team. I think I'll do the preview for the Everton game as well this week, and then we're going to have the football. So I'll do a watch along on the Monday night. Then we'll probably have in between that, we're going to have the more fighting like kids to come out. Basically, what's going to happen. The only people that I'd listen to would be Ornstein, Romano, so Jacobs. So that'll be Ben Jacobs. I'd listen to him. I'd listen to Ornstein, Romano. I think those three for me would be the ones. Wise fan says, good evening to you. Sorry I'm a bit late. Only not too long ago from celebrating. I'm still sober. Look, mate, no apologies at all. You're a legend of the chat. Yeah, another late show. I am going to try to... Hullet was a disaster too. Has Indicator said anything? I can't... Give me a second, because they said that they were going to go live at 10:30. Give me a second, and I will see what they've said. If my PC allows me to do it. Oh, honestly. Okay, what do we do? Indicator. Right. Come on. All right, let's see what we've got. Indicator on X. Right. I would ignore it as well. But we are a... Okay, so let's see, because there was something supposed to come out at 10:30. So let's see what comes out. I mean, look, you Indicator with a pinch of salt. I sort of do. I don't need to delete it. Oh, for God's sake. Come on, right. Indicator. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Well, apparently, let me tell you. Right, let me go through the chats and I can tell you the breaking news. Dutch style is not total football, not total go. That's the problem. So Gallagher on loan. Look, Neil, I'm with you. Gallagher for me, I think, is the one. I've nailed my balls to the wall on this one. I'm adamant that he is the one that we're going to get. I've said that I think that he is the one. I think when the dust settles, I think he will be the only one that we'll get. I would just ignore him, Scott. Forest have no intention of selling Anderson, according to the BBC. Wise fan, I agree with you. 100% agree with you. You have to bear in mind that Forest, that Anderson has release clauses in his contract, which means that in the summer he will be in and around 65 to 70 million pounds. So Anderson, forget him for now. Rashford will be the permanent at Barcelona. I like go Anthony and Betis. Barca don't want him. Too much money. I thought it was more like no intention to sell Anderson until the summer. It is, mate. It is. So what have we got? So we've got, so there is a breaking news story. This is brilliant, right? Fantastic. So breaking news 17 hours ago, right? You ready? United are prepared to make an offer around 200 million to sign Vinicius Jr. from Real Madrid. That tells you everything that you need to know on that one, doesn't it? Hey Tulip, hope you're doing extremely well. Right, okay, right. So this is the news from an hour ago. So an Indicator exclusive about breaking news. Just see Fabrizio is simple, exactly that. So, where would Semenyo play another out-and-out winger? Exactly, Tulip, and that is the conversation. That is the conversation that we're having now. That is the conversation that we're having tonight. Where would he play? So exclusive from Indicator News an hour ago. Richard Hughes from Liverpool are in direct negotiations with Bournemouth for Semenyo. Liverpool are the only favourites to sign Semenyo. Arsenal don't have cash flow problems to sign Semenyo, but are close to the FFP limit. So basically, Lewis Skelly apparently could be sold to sign new players. But as it stands, according to Indicator News, who are award-winning football account with 5 elite reporters, are reporting tonight that Liverpool are the only favourites to sign Semenyo in the January window. And as Scott said, it is what it is. I'm almost not fussed. I'm with you, Scott. I would take Lewis Skelly as well. I think he's a great player. I'd be happy. But yeah, Chilip, you're right. We're going to be linked now. As we know, Chilip, you were here through the summer. We got Lemens right. We got Shesko right on here as well. I'm convinced Gallagher is going to be the only signing. And Scott says, Indicator, do chat. Agreed. Arsenal let Skelly go. Agree. Agree, but we only report the news, right? But yes, I agree with you. So, guys, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. Liverpool is too boring gameplay like Athletic Madrid. I don't disagree at all. But look, I am going to go. Guys, another fantastic show. Another hour gone, another hour and a half gone. It just goes so fast. I'm glad that the stream is just about held up. Not been the best tonight. I can only apologise because it's awful. Scott says Liverpool have ruined Isaac. 100 odd million down the drain potentially there with him. Be careful what you do for players because karma is a B, isn't it? So So look, guys, I'm going to go. Thank you for being here, guys. An amazing show. I generally can't believe how fortunate I am to have you guys here. You make these shows amazing. You make this channel what it is. We get bigger and bigger and bigger. We grow and grow and grow, and it's all about you guys and your support. So I can't thank you enough on the journey to 25k now. Hopefully we'll be there soon, and then 26, 27. Who knows what the future holds, right, guys? So thank you, guys, fam. Look, guys, it's only a good stream because you guys are on it. Otherwise it would literally just be me talking to myself. So without you guys, I cannot express this enough. Without you guys, these channels do not exist, and I never take that for granted. So look, guys, I will be back tomorrow at some point. Have a good rest of your evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are, and I will be back tomorrow. So hold on to your hats. Football's coming back. We're going to be linked to so many stories. It's going to be an exciting couple of weeks. Can't wait, guys. We're going to have plenty of stuff to talk about. It's going to be amazing. So look, good night. Thank you for being here with me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night and take care.